A cold wind swept across the parking lot as Marcus Hale stepped off the old city bus, clutching a worn backpack and a folded job letter. The glowing sign above the massive glass building read Vanguard Culinary Group, one of the most prestigious restaurant companies in the country. Marcus stared at it for a long moment, then looked down at his calloused hands. He whispered quietly to himself, "Just one chance. That's all I need." Marcus was not a chef, at least not on paper. Tonight, he was just a night cleaner. But before this night ended, the CEO of the entire company would question everything she believed about talent, class, and opportunity. Marcus pushed through the back entrance where the smell of stainless steel polish and detergent hung in the air. The security guard, a bulky man named Leonard Cruz, barely looked up from his phone. "A new janitor?" Leonard asked lazily. Marcus nodded. "A kitchen's down the hall. Clean everything. Floors, counters, trash. Don't touch the cooking equipment. That's for the chefs." Marcus simply said, "Understood, understood." Inside the kitchen, the silence was strange. Only a few hours earlier, dozens of chefs had been rushing around preparing gourmet meals worth hundreds of dollars each. Now the place looked like a battlefield of dirty pans and splattered sauces. Marcus set down his backpack and began working. But while he scrubbed the counters, his eyes studied every single cooking station, the knives, the spice racks, the stovetops, the ovens. His movements slowed as memories flooded his mind. Years earlier, Marcus had been a promising culinary student with dreams of opening his own restaurant. But life had different plans. A tragic car accident had taken his wife, leaving him alone to raise their daughter, Lily Hale, who was only 3 years old at the time. Marcus dropped out of culinary school to work construction, warehouses, delivery trucks, anything that could keep food on the table. Cooking became something he only did at home for Lily, but deep down, the passion never died. Back in the present, Marcus finished mopping the floor and checked the clock. 2:15 a.m. Everything was spotless. He should leave, but his eyes drifted toward the main cooking station again. A single thought crept into his mind. Just once, just one dish. Marcus hesitated. If someone caught him, he could lose the job he had just started. But another voice inside him whispered, "You didn't come this far just to mop floors forever." Slowly, Marcus pulled ingredients from the fridge. From it, fresh salmon, butter, garlic, lemon, a few herbs, nothing fancy. But in Marcus's hands, something magical began to happen. His movements were confident and precise. Years of hidden practice came alive. The pan sizzled as the salmon touched the heat. Garlic and butter melted together, filling the kitchen with a rich aroma. Marcus closed his eyes for a moment while flipping the fish perfectly. For the first time in years, he felt alive again. But Marcus didn't know something important. He wasn't alone in the building. On the top floor, CEO Evelyn Carter was still in her office. Evelyn was known across the industry as a brilliant but extremely demanding leader. At 37, she had built Vanguard Culinary Group into a billion-dollar empire. But tonight, she couldn't sleep. Financial reports covered her desk. Customer reviews were dropping. One of their biggest restaurants had recently lost a major award, and investors were starting to ask questions. Evelyn rubbed her temples. Then suddenly, she smelled something. Her nose lifted slightly. "A food?" she muttered. "At 2 in the morning?" Curious, Evelyn followed the scent through the quiet hallways until she reached the kitchen door. What she saw made her frown. A janitor, cooking. Evelyn stepped inside sharply. "What do you think you're doing?" Marcus jumped slightly and turned around. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Evelyn looked at the plate forming on the counter. Golden salmon, perfectly crisp edges, elegant sauce. It looked like something from a 5-star restaurant, but she kept her voice cold. "You're a cleaner," she said firmly. "You're not allowed to use company ingredients." Marcus lowered his head respectfully. "I'm sorry. I just wanted to cook one dish." Evelyn crossed her arms. To her arms. "You wanted to cook?" "Yes." Why?" Marcus hesitated. Then he answered honestly. Because cooking is the only thing that ever made me feel like I mattered." The words hung in the air. For some reason, Evelyn didn't tell him to leave immediately. Instead, she pointed at the plate. "What is it?" "A pan-seared salmon with lemon garlic butter." Evelyn looked unimpressed. "We have chefs who trained in Paris. Why would your version be special?" Marcus didn't argue. He simply slid the plate toward her. "Then taste it." For a moment, Evelyn considered throwing the dish away, but curiosity won. She picked up a fork and took one bite. Then she froze. Her eyes widened slightly. The flavor was balanced in a way she hadn't experienced in years. Simple, elegant. Simple, elegant. Comforting. It reminded her why she fell in love with food in the first place. She slowly put the fork down. Where did you learn to cook like this? Marcus shrugged quietly. A life. Evelyn stared at him for several seconds. Then she asked something unexpected. Cook me another dish. Marcus blinked. What done it? Another? Yes. Anything? Yes. Marcus opened the fridge again. This time he chose chicken, mushrooms, cream, and herbs. Again, his hands moved like an artist painting a masterpiece. Evelyn watched silently, awed her. For the first time in years, she wasn't thinking about profit margins or marketing strategies. She was watching someone cook with pure love. When the dish was finished, Evelyn tasted it. And once again, she was speechless. Finally, she asked quietly, "Why are you cleaning floors instead of running a kitchen?" Marcus looked down. My daughter." Evelyn waited. Marcus continued, "When my wife died, I had to quit culinary school. Bills don't wait for dreams." The room went silent. Evelyn slowly leaned against the counter. She thought about the dozens of chefs she had hired over the years, people with expensive degrees but no soul in their cooking. Yet this man, a janitor, had more passion than all of them combined. Suddenly she asked, "What's your daughter's name?" "A Lily." "How old?" "A 10. Evelyn nodded thoughtfully. Then she made a decision that would shock the entire company the next morning. She looked Marcus straight in the eye. Starting tomorrow, you're not cleaning floors." Marcus frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" Evelyn smiled faintly. "For cooking." Marcus stared at her in disbelief. "For who?" "If for me," she said. "And if you impress the board of directors next week," she paused, "you'll become the head chef of our flagship restaurant." Marcus's heart nearly stopped. "Are you serious?" Evelyn picked up the salmon plate again and took another bite. Dead serious. But what neither of them knew was that the biggest challenge was still coming. Because not everyone in the company would accept a janitor becoming their chef, and some people were willing to do anything to stop it. Marcus walked out of the building that night with the same worn backpack. But his life had just changed forever, and somewhere inside that quiet kitchen, a simple meal had just begun a story that would inspire thousands, because sometimes the greatest talent isn't found in fancy schools. Sometimes it's hiding behind a mop and a bucket, waiting for someone brave enough to taste it.